welcome back to my channel. I'm Victoria. So most of you probably found my YouTube channel because you either follow me on Instagram or you follow my food blog. But if you just found me randomly on the internet or through YouTube, you should know that one, I have a food blog, and two, I have an Instagram, Lemons and Lime, where I post a ton of food related posts and recipes, especially kind of healing recipes designed to be anti-inflammatory and for those with restrictive diets or dietary intolerances due to chronic illness or for whatever reason. And so one of the main questions I get asked all of the time is, how do you cook or make healthy meals for your body and for healing when you are flared up or when you are really sick or you're dealing with a ton of chronic fatigue? I get this question a lot because I have a lot of people who are like, I don't have the energy to cook. I don't have the energy to make delicious, nice, fancy meals to help me heal when I feel like crap. And so I just decided I wanted to make a whole video about this because I have a lot to say. And I also, what I did on my Instagram stories is I posted a sticker question and asked people to leave whatever questions they had related to this topic. So I'm gonna dive into all of that in this video. So let's do it. I'm gonna break down generally my ideas for how to eat healthy or a healing diet when you're sick, and then I'm gonna get into some other specific tips and some really great gadgets and tips to use in the kitchen. Also, whenever I start recording, the sun decides to be all weird and the clouds are all over the place, so I apologize for the changing light. And then I'm gonna finish with a few other, making sure I answer all the questions that people ask me on my Instagram stories. So the first thing I do want to have as a little disclaimer of, I personally love to cook. Like, cooking is my self-care. It is the way I de-stress. I will make time for it no matter what. I will push myself through almost anything to cook because I love it and I love a home cooked meal. And for me, that's really healing to be able to cook no matter what. So just so you know, that's kind of where I'm coming from, and it's why I'm able to cook all the time. But I am going to provide the best tips that I can for how to make healthy meals and healing meals even when you're feeling really awful. The first thing is meal prep, or when you cook, batch cook. So I will cook, when I cook something, I don't just make one meal for that time. I make a ton, so it will last me for like 3 to 4 days or the entire week. I usually cook twice a week. So on Sunday will take 2 hours to make a ton of food. Like, I'll roast a crap ton of vegetables so I have them for the week. I will chop stuff up so it's ready to go for the week. And like make a big, I'll choose like 2 dinners that I want to have. So I'll make a big batch of some dinner on Sunday so I have it for the next few days, and then again on Wednesday or Thursday I'll make another big batch of something to have for the next few days. So that's my thing, is meal prep or like batch cook. When you make something, make a big batch of it. If you're dealing with histamine stuff and leftovers an issue, put them in the freezer. Just batch cook and put them in the freezer so you don't have to cook fresh every single meal, because it's just way too much time and energy to have to do that. This freaking sun. So frustrating. And then within that meal prep topic, a lot of people say to me, well, I don't have the energy to go to the grocery store. And it's like, okay, well, a couple things. One, do you have friends or family members who could do the grocery shopping for you if you put the list together? Really, it's important to really find those people in your life who can help you out. I have friends who are willing to come do grocery shopping for me if I'm having a really tough week. If my parents are up to visit, they will grocery shop for me. So find people in your life who can be there for you. I think that's so important no matter what, but especially when you're dealing with a chronic illness. Second of all, there are tons of meal, grocery delivery services these days. You have Instacart, Amazon. A lot of grocery stores themselves will do delivery, or things like curbside. I know Target has that and some other big stores have that, where essentially if you have the app, like the Target app, you can make a list of everything you need from the store. Somebody in the store will do all the shopping for you. You just drive up curbside and they bring it all out to you. And all you have to do is drive there and drive home. So that makes it really convenient, and that's helpful if somebody is doing your shopping for you. You can make the list and then they can just go pick it up for you. The other big thing is meal delivery services. There are tons of those all over the country these days, and tons of them that are designed for people with specific food allergies or dietary restrictions or dietary choices. And so like I know a lot of people are AIP or paleo in this community, in the healing community, and so there are things like Catalyst Cuisine, Paleo on the Go, they do AIP options. There's so many, and there's some that are local to your city as well. So that's an option too, is to spend the money on a meal delivery service so that you don't have to do anything, but there's healthy meals delivered right to your door, so that you can eat something healthy. And then in terms of meal planning itself, I know some people struggle with like, I don't even know what to make. Like for me, I'm a planner, so I don't wait till the last minute to be like, oh, I should have dinner tonight. I'm really tired and I have no idea I can't even think straight to think about what to cook. That's why I sit down for an hour like every Friday night and I decide what I want to cook for the next week, write down my grocery list, and then so that's all out of the way and it gets done. It's not this last minute thing and I'm too tired to think about it. So I would definitely consider doing that. I have a ton of cookbooks. I have tons of recipes on my own website, Pinterest, the internet, all great places, tons of food blogs everywhere. You can find recipes that fit your dietary needs and restrictions and whatever. And then just pick out recipes that you like and be like, I'm gonna make this, or I'm gonna like double this recipe so I have it for a few days. So that's my tip for meal planning and grocery shopping. But then in terms of like picking what meals to make, there are plenty of easy meals and tips that you can use at home if you're low on energy and time that are still healthy. So a few of my favorites. First of all, anything one pan or like one pot meal. So roasted stuff is the easiest. Throw everything on a pan with some olive oil or coconut oil, some salt, spices, whatever you like. Throw it in the oven, roast it up, cook it up, and you're done. Like all you have to do is put it on the pan and put it in the oven. So I have like a great sheet pan meal I make. Essentially what I do is I chop up vegetables, put them on a baking dish, and then I add either cubed chicken or like stew meat chunks like lamb or beef, and then put all that on the sheet pan and bake it. So I like to choose like 3 vegetables. So I usually do like a root vegetable, like maybe sweet potatoes. And if you're gonna do sweet potatoes, chop them up really small so that they actually cook through with everything else. Or like start cooking those in the oven while you're prepping the rest of the veggies. And then I'll do like broccoli and zucchini or something like that. Throw that on the sheet pan. And then I like, for my meat, you can just put it on the pan as well, but for my meat I like to marinate it like earlier in the day, just in some olive oil and herbs. I use a lot of herbs because I don't do well with spices, but if you do well with spices you could do that, and then throw it on the sheet pan and cook everything like 450. Veggies for 20 minutes, then I throw the meat on there and cook it for another 20 minutes, and then you've got a whole meal. One pan meal, so like you could do a bunch of sauteed stuff. So get a big pan, saute some carrots and radishes, throw some ground beef in there, saute it all together, you got a meal. You can serve that over rice. I like to just serve it over greens to get more veggies in, so that's a great option. I know a lot of you are gonna say to me, oh, but you have to chop all these veggies. 2 things. 1, basically every store has pre-chopped veggies at this point. And I know somebody's gonna comment like, they're so expensive. And here's the thing, you just have to decide what's worth it. Where do you want your money to go? Like, I can't solve all your problems, obviously. So for me, eating healthy is worth it. That's where I want my money to go over other things. And so I would rather spend the money on the pre-cut veggies if I have to. I usually have the energy at this point to chop veggies, but if I didn't buy the pre-cut veggies, spend a couple extra dollars on that, and then you don't have to worry about it. You just have to dump it on a pan with olive oil and put it in the oven. The second thing is food processor. Literally, instead of sitting there and chopping carrots for something, I just blitz them in the food processor a little bit and they're shredded, and then I can just saute them and add them to ground beef or salads or whatever. So that's a really easy way to save energy as well. Third meal idea, soups. Soups are so easy. If you can get yourself a Vitamix or a really high-speed blender, you actually can put everything into it raw, and then you just turn it on high for like several minutes and it heats up enough to cook the veggies that are in the blender in the soup, so it becomes a warm soup. Or you can just steam or boil a bunch of vegetables and then throw them in the Vitamix. Like if you want to make a butternut squash soup or a pumpkin soup, like cook some pumpkin, butternut squash, throw it in the blender with a little bit of olive oil, some spices if you want, some coconut milk to make it creamy, a little extra broth, like if you want to put bone broth in there. You can get some extra protein and collagen. Blend that all up, you've got a soup. For me, I don't personally like soups because I like to chew my food. But you could add then like sprouts on top, or pumpkin seeds, or you could add ground beef in there so that it's more of a meal, or add like pour that soup over ground beef and rice so it's heartier. So that's a really great option, is soups. And in that same category, smoothies. So easy. Find a protein powder you like, throw in some coconut milk, almond milk, whatever you like, water even, your protein powder, some fruit, banana, berries, something like that. I like to throw in a bunch of spinach because you can't taste it and you're getting some greens in. You can throw some veggies. Good veggies are steamed and frozen sweet potato, steamed and frozen cauliflower, steamed and frozen zucchini. All those are really mild. You can't even taste them, so you get more veggies in. So you can make big, easy smoothies that way because you just throw it all in a blender, turn it on, let it blend, done, ready to go. And then the last thing is anything in like a crock pot or an Instant Pot, because you can just throw everything in and then set it to the timer, let it go, dinner's ready. So those are some easy meal ideas. Again, I have a ton of these on my Instagram and on my blog that you can check out. The other thing I want to throw in there is there's just so many like ways to make cooking easier these days. You don't have to make everything from scratch. You know, there are gluten-free pizza crusts at the store. You can get that and then just add your own veggies and meat to the top of it at home. There's just so many things that are pre-made these days that are geared towards people with food allergies or food intolerances, and so many restaurants that cater to it as well. I think that's another big piece, is finding restaurants in your area that work for your dietary needs. And so on the days where you're just too tired to make dinner, or like whatever, it's just you're not feeling well, you have that place to go to and order food from, or go pick up food from, so you don't even have to think about it sometimes. I mean, I definitely have days where I'm just so tired and I have a couple restaurants I know I can pick food up from, and so if I need to, I can go there and do that. You know, Whole Foods has their hot bar, and they have a lot of pretty healthy options as well. So you can go to Whole Foods and like grab food that you need, or prepared food that you need, and then not have to worry about cooking so much. The biggest thing too is that I want to talk about is finding a balance between healing diet and easy meals. So I'm gonna be honest with you, something like the autoimmune paleo protocol is really difficult in general, but then if you're like really sick, because basically all of it has to be made from scratch because there's so many things that you can't have, and that can be really time consuming and energy consuming for someone with a chronic illness, and that could just add more stress to your plate. Whereas if it was like, okay, if I just eat the peanut butter or the almond butter gluten-free sandwich, I'm getting nutrients, I'm getting sustenance, I'm getting calories, and I'm not wasting a ton of energy. Whereas before you were like so stressed about trying to make this perfect like gluten-free, everything free beef lasagna, you know? And so I think that's just something people need to remember and think about, is that balance of like eating healthy for healing, but also not totally going crazy and adding more stress to your plate that you just cannot deal with when you're sick. Just something to think about. So those are kind of like my big tips, is meal prep, meal plan, and batch cook. There are tons of easy meals out there. There are grocery delivery services, there are meal delivery services. Buy pre-cut veggies. These days everything is pre-chopped in the grocery store if you need it to be. You can buy fucking oranges that are peeled and sliced for you. Like, there's ways around the fatigue issue of having to stand in the kitchen and chop. And you know, balance your health and your healing with a diet that works for that and doesn't stress you out even more, because I think that the more you're stressed about it, the diet and the cooking and everything, the worse it's going to be in the long run. Where maybe if you just eat something that isn't ideal, quote unquote, I hate even using that word, but like you're going to actually get sustenance instead of being stressed out over it. But now I want to share a few gadgets that I always have in my kitchen, or a few tips that are always in my kitchen. I'm going to take you in there and show you. These things really make life easier. So I'm going to take you through my kitchen to show you a few things that make my life a bit easier. So the first thing is I always have a stool in my kitchen so that when I'm cutting veggies or cooking at the stove, I can sit down on the stool if I need to, if I'm in pain or if I'm tired. Highly recommend putting a seat in your kitchen. Next, I just want to share a few gadgets that are really helpful. I have a Vitamix here. I like having a high-speed blender because I can do so much with it. but any type of like food processor blender, like a Ninja is great too. You can chop veggies, you can blend smoothies. It saves a lot of time and energy to have something like that. I have a hot water kettle. This isn't like super important, but it's nice to have that. And then the other big gadget I like to have is something like an Instant Pot or a slow cooker. I have both. I just got this for Christmas, but this also has a slow cook feature, so I'll probably get rid of my slow cooker at some point. But this is really great because you just put everything in it and then, you know, turn it on, set it up, turn it on, and let everything cook. Like the other day I made a pot roast, and it was just like I put it in there, set the thing for an hour with some veggies, seasoned it with some herbs and salt, let it go, took an hour nap, got up, dinner was ready. So that makes life so much easier. I would highly suggest doing an Instant Pot or a crock pot type of thing. The last thing is the microwave. I know there's going to be some controversy over this, and I'm going to talk about it in a moment, but microwave isn't the worst thing to have in the world when you're dealing with a ton of fatigue. I just want to briefly talk about the microwave. What a controversial topic, because of EMFs. And personally, I'm not a huge fan of a microwave. You know, people are very divided on this issue. I don't love using the microwave. It's not something that I gravitate towards and do a ton of microwave meals, but it makes my life easier on days where things are just hard, and I'd rather get some calories and sustenance in than not eat or be so stressed out over trying to make a meal. So yes, I do use the microwave on occasion, because it just makes my life easier sometimes, and I need that. I do use the microwave sometimes, and there are tons of like microwave meals at the grocery store that are actually healthy these days. It's not just lean cuisine, but there's like, I think Annie's is a good brand, or Amy's or something like that. They have like a lot of organic and gluten-free and dairy-free options, and they're using you know, whole ingredients rather than processed natural flavorings or things like that. And a lot of those can go in the oven, but if you're short on time, you can put them in the microwave. So I just wanted to throw that out there. You know, I don't think the microwave is ideal. I think it does kill some of the nutrients in food, but sometimes it's more important to get some food in than to be stressed or to not eat at all. So there you go. Some of the last few questions I wanted to make sure I answer was, someone asked me what my favorite snacks are, and snacks are the best. I am a huge fan of chips. I am a chip fiend, but there are lots of healthy chip options these days. I love the Siete tortilla chips. Real Coconut makes a grain-free tortilla chip with like cassava flour and coconut flour. I have a really delicious recipe for coconut, like salt and vinegar coconut chips. I'll link that below. Plantain chips, sweet potato chips, all those. There's tons of those that are fried in coconut oil, not vegetable oil these days, so they're anti-inflammatory. You don't get those inflammatory vegetable oils. So there's plenty of like fun chip options these days. I do a lot of green juices, so I juice. There's tons of juicing places and juice delivery services these days as well. I do really basic stuff like sliced turkey. I love some sliced turkey. Like I'll wrap coconut or cucumber in sliced turkey and eat that. I will just eat veggies as snacks. Nuco, I love Nuco. They make some really fun tortilla, like coconut wraps, coconut tortillas. And so I'll do like sliced turkey and veggies and greens in there for usually for lunch, but you could do like half a wrap as a snack or a whole wrap as a snack. I'm like a sweets snacker, like, so it's either gonna be chips or it's gonna be desserty stuff after dinner. And so someone even asked about that, like, what do you do for desserts? Because they're like, I don't want to do sugar for inflammation reasons or whatever their diet is. And I have, if you've been following me for a while on my social media, I freaking love dessert. I cannot go to sleep at night without dessert. I always have dessert, so I have a ton of dessert recipes, like healthy dessert recipes on my blog. If you want something super simple, just doing fruit or like frozen berries with coconut cream. Like if you get the can of coconut cream, can of coconut milk, put it in the fridge, scoop off the cream on top. That's just a really easy, great dessert. Sometimes I whip the coconut cream sometimes, make it really fluffy and nice. Drizzle a little bit of honey on that or maple syrup if you want to add a little sweetness. If you do like granola or gluten-free granola, you can sprinkle that on top. Nuco makes a coconut crunch grain-free cereal that's delicious. Sprinkle some of that or some shredded coconut on top. All great dessert and snack options. The last big question I got was, I don't have the energy to cook for multiple people, but my husband doesn't want like this basic, boring, simple meal. He wants something with more flavor. And I have a couple thoughts on this. First of all, if your husband can't understand your situation and that you don't have the energy to be making fancy meals or 2 different meals, get yourself a new husband. That might have come off a little harsh, but my point being that you either need to sit down and have a conversation with him because he's not understanding your situation, or like find supportive people in your life. Like I don't exactly know how to answer this because I do live on my own. So I only cook for myself, and all of my friends are very understanding of my situation. So if they come over for dinner, they either will eat whatever I make, or they help me cook so that they can flavor their food the way they want, or they just season their stuff. Like I'll cook the same basic meal, one meal, and they'll like put hot sauce on theirs. Like I had one friend who, we always kept a bottle of hot sauce here because I would cook something and it wasn't like spicy enough for him, so he would just put hot sauce all over it or some other condiments that he would leave here. So that's an option. If you don't want to cook multiple meals, is make a basic meal and then something that people can like add whatever they want on top of it. So they could add, you know, you could make a Mexican bowl, so you could just like cook up some ground beef, chop up some cucumber, and have made rice, and then they can add sour cream and hot sauce and whatever on top of their meal. So they can make it fancier for themselves. So that's my advice for like cooking for 2 people or multiple people, is make sure that everybody in the household on board, they understand your situation, they're understanding. Make sure you have supportive people in your life, and then you can make a basic meal that they're able to jazz up a little bit more. So I have 2 questions for you all. If you have any other tips, I'd love for you to leave them in the comments so that we all can kind of share our tips with each other on eating healthy and cooking when we're dealing with chronic illness. My second question, this is a big important one, is I've thought a lot about maybe creating some sort of cookbook or ebook that is designed to have a bunch of like healthy, anti-inflammatory recipes, and they're like quick and easy recipes. So if you'd be interested in me creating an ebook or a cookbook of some sort, definitely let me know in the comments. I'd really love to know if that's something you'd even be interested in having me do. I do love to cook. I've created a lot of recipes. You can go check all them out on my social media, like I've said. But I don't know, I think it'd be really fun and helpful. Like if I, you know, had meals in there, or like 1-pot meals, or like meals that take under 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Everything's labeled based on dietary restrictions and how easy or fancy it gets. Just designed for the chronic illness community, because I know that cooking and eating healthy can be a real challenge when you are sick. Alright, so overall, I hope that this video was helpful. If there's any other tips, of course, like I said, leave them below. Let me know if you're interested in a cookbook, ebook type of thing. And then, as always, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It helps support my channel, as well as hit that little red subscribe button and share this video with anyone you think may find it useful or helpful. And I will see you all in the next video.